Yes. Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, thank you. Hi there, viewers. Today I'm joining a conversation with author Nicole S. Brown, the author of 14 amazing books. And of course, she's going to keep writing more. It's a pleasure to have Nicole on the show. Welcome on the show, Nicole.
Thank you. And it's a pleasure to be on.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you featured on English literature.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So, Nicole, I see that you have a wide range of bodies of work. You've written 14 books. And this one to make me to ask you, how do you come about writing such kind of, quite a lot of books like this? What inspired you to becoming an author?
Well, I was in a situation personally and professionally that started me to wanting to write books. I was involved in a relationship that was not too good
Oh,
for me. And I had to get out of the situation. And I'm also an educator, and I come across a whole bunch of situations in education that were not too too pleasant as well. So that pushed me into writing. And actually, in one school year, I wrote 7 books. So half of my books I wrote in one school year. The first school year that I started writing books, I wrote 7 books in that school year.
wow, that's amazing. That sounds pretty much amazing. And this want to make me to ask you about Wet Dreams because I know you have a book titled Wet Dreams. And for readers like me who haven't read Wet Dreams yet, without giving much information away, would they have a sneak of what we would expect picking up Wet Dreams?
Well, Wet Dreams is for people of age only, and it has 3 sections in it. One that's kind of mild, one that's and then the one that's kind of medium, and the last section is really spicy. So it has 3 sections, and it at the beginning of each section is paragraphs that describe the poetry that's in each section. So
Oh,
it's a really good read. A lot of people like it. Really, my career is just really taken off because of Wet Dreams because it sold out worldwide within the first 2 months of it being out. So I'm really proud of that book. Yeah,
that's
a lot of people love that book.
that's fascinating to know. That's quite interesting. And you have a lot of poetry published. When I went through your Amazon author page, I
Yes.
realized you have quite a lot of, when I check this book, I realize it's poetry. And I check another one, I see it's poetry. And I check another one, I see it's poetry. I said, oh, wow, there's quite a lot of, I said, oh, wow, there's quite a lot of poetry out there. And, I'm also a poet. So I read through some couple of reviews and some books, and I was quite intrigued with it. And you have a lot of poetry published, and this wanted to make me to ask what poetry means to you in your own terms. How can you define poetry?
Poetry, it could be it's rhythms and it's rhymes and it's sometimes not a rhymes and it makes you use your mind. It makes you think.
Hmm. Oh, that's great. As for me, I always love to define poetry as the language of the soul. That's my kind of a divination that I make up some years ago. Poetry to me, it always mean the language of the soul. So it's quite fun also to know your divination of poetry.
I like that one as well because some really, really deep emotions go out,
Mm.
flow out in poetry.
Yeah,
Really, really deep emotions.
absolutely. Now, Nicole, from reading the description page of Trials of a Northeast Louisiana Child on Amazon, it is obvious that the book is a poetry about you growing up in a region that is all around underprivileged, as it details the good, the ugly, and bad parts of your life. And I'm kind of curious how much of your life is reflected in this book.
Maybe from my childhood up until like my early 30s is in that, is
Wow.
captured in that book. Um, I think it's five sections in that book. It talks about, it's a spiritual journey. It talks about school, me, my education experience, my life experience growing up in a home that was that had these three factors. My three factors was poverty, racism, and abuse. So it talks about that in the book a lot. It talks about Louisiana, especially the region that I grew up in, which is Northeast Louisiana. A lot of people don't know about that area. They always tend to uh, think about Baton Rouge and New Orleans when it comes to Louisiana, but there are other parts.
Mm,
And I'm from the part that's Northeast Louisiana, and it's known for agriculture. So that's why I said that, it's underprivileged, because a lot of people, they don't have a lot of interstates that go. There's not an interstate from my hometown that takes you to Baton Rouge directly, or to New Orleans directly, because it's not a major thoroughfare. It's a lot of agriculture in between Monroe and Baton Rouge and New Orleans. So we have to travel. We could travel through an interstate, but it's out of the way. So a lot of people go through Mississippi to get to Baton Rouge and New Orleans. And I talked about that, and I talked about how I rededicated my life to Christ. And it's one poem in there title is called They Follow Me. And it talks about how it's Psalm 23, but it's based on my life.
mm.
Is the and the title of the poem is called They Follow Me. And I was talking about surely goodness and mercy that it follows me.
That's quite amazing. That quite sound very nice. And that would want me to remind you that you should. I would love you to recite a poem,
Yeah.
probably towards the ending part of the interview, not now. But let me move into the other question that I have for you here. So just prepare a poem over there that you'd love to recite ahead. Just one, be two. Now, I also know that as authors, we all have different ways of reacting to feedbacks and, feedback we get from our readers. I'm curious to know your opinion about criticism. How do you react to negative criticism of your book, if you've ever had one?
Well, when I first began to write, people think that this book is my actual first book, because this was my actual first book to be released.
Oh,
But actually, and this is school days, holidays, and all days that lie between, but actually, All About Slime was the first book that I actually started working on.
oh, what
And
about time?
it was some negative comments about All About Slime before it even gotten,
Wow,
yes, before it even got published. I was threatened to be sued if
wow.
it ever came out, and I was kind of scared about it, but um, I kind of overcame the fear and went on and put it out. My first book was put out in November 2009, November the 21st, 2009, and then All About Slime came out on January 4th, 2010. So it was a few months later. So I was scared, but I wasn't that scared.
That sounds great, great. We all have different way of reacting to feedbacks and criticism from people. Now, that want to make me to move into your next book that I've seen, God's Calling You to Live a Life That Is True. I read some reviews of it on how it touches on the theme of the human spiritual journey. I'd love to hear more from you. Would you be willing to share with us a bit about God's calling you to live a life that is true?
Yes, I have. I written that book, and it was about a prodigal that was at a
Mm.
crossroads in their life.
Yeah.
They either had to make a choice of continually to live foul, or not live, in the under design that God called them to be in, or they could move on into to giving up their lives to Christ in order to get what is best from God, which is greatness.
Mm.
And it talks about, you know, how we can put ourselves in that situation, because even though we're not, some of us may be walking in the right path, there are always some things that we can do to do better.
Mm.
And each poem in that book, it has a Bible verse that goes to it, so it could be good for prayer meetings and Bible studies
Wow.
and such.
That's great. That sounds very great. And I'm curious to know if you've experienced any challenges while writing your books. If there's any, could you share with us what challenge it is and how you ultimately overcame it?
I faced a lot of challenges as an author. When I first became an author, a lot of people didn't feel like, you're in this profession of teaching, so why are you a teacher and an author? What, you don't need to be, it was I got into a school where people didn't want me to be there because I was actually an author and a teacher, and they didn't understand that people could be both, or maybe they were jealous. I don't know what it was, but I was in a situation where I really didn't fit in because I was doing something different than other people that were, in that profession. So, uh, all I can say is lost jobs, because there were a lot of people that didn't want to view me as both an author and a teacher, and I didn't really know. It was some other things behind it that people was giving me all kind of trouble with, and it happened in my hometown and such. It was like so many things happening. I ended up losing jobs, a lot of jobs in my state, and I had to move to which was next door, Mississippi, to start my life over. And
Wow.
actuality, I was teaching a different subject, and I didn't tell people that I was an author because I was mistreated so bad. And like I said, for 2 or 3 years that I was there in Mississippi, I didn't tell anybody anything, not too much anything personal about me at
Mm.
all. And it was just to the point where I started my life over. And I didn't mention that I was an author to anybody until maybe 3 or 4 years after
Wow.
I had been living there, and I had that was there because pretty much so exhausted from being mistreated for so long that I just went to work, went home, went to sleep, and got up, did the same thing for a whole semester until I got a lot of energy, lot of energy back. Because when people ridicule you and do you any kind of way, it affects you. It affects
Absolutely.
your body. It affects everything about you.
Mm. That's quite a lot of challenges. That's quite a lot of challenges. Now, Nicole, could you share with us your other body of literary works? I mean, other works you've written. Share with us your other body of literary works.
Time,
Yeah,
school days, holidays, and all days that lie between.
absolutely.
Life support. This is a real good one.
Oh, wow.
The School of Hard Knocks. This talks about the bad experience at the school that I had to start my life, move away and start my life over. And this is all of the stuff that I did to make an effort to not have to do that. And here's more school days, holidays, and all days a lot between. Who do you love?
Oh,
Are you still in love with who?
a lot of books there.
The diminishing of slime. And we talked about wet dreams. The refusal to return to slime. Now, I wrote this while I was in Mississippi. It says that it was in Baton Rouge, but I was in hiding, and I found out a whole bunch of stuff that was happening to me behind the scenes in my life for a long time, and I didn't even know that this stuff was going on. And
Oh,
then when I
wow.
did find out, I wrote this book, and this was like my refusal to return back to that bad relationship that I was in,
Oh, wow.
and of a Northeast Louisiana child.
That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. That's a
Yeah,
lot of work.
it is.
And now
And
also,
I still have stuff. I still have things that I'm working on.
Oh, wow. That's impressive. And I'm hopeful that your upcoming works will be fine also. Now, could you tell us what publishing is like for a published author like yourself? What are the challenges you've encountered in terms of marketing your books? And what are the mediums you've utilized so far in terms of promoting your books?
Well, I've done quite a bit on social media, and that's a challenge because I don't have anybody working my page or anything like that. I did have some people for a while, but it can be expensive.
Mm,
Um, Publishing is not as expensive as some people think it is. Especially if you do all of the work yourself, your editing and all of that, you do it all yourself and putting the book together. You come out cheaper as if you just send it to somebody and they do it all for you. You're gonna spend at least $400 or $500 doing it, and I didn't do that. I did it all myself. The copyright page, the table of contents, and all of that. And I put it all together myself. And copywriting is, you send it to the government. Um, but sales, but I don't do that, and that's a fee for that. Um, I just started hiring a graphic designer to do covers because
mm,
even with certain self-publishing sites, because I went through a self-publishing site when I first started. It was Create Space. Now it's Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, and they have templates where you can pick different covers or whatever, or you can
yeah.
add a picture to the cover that's already there. You can do your own little graphic design.
Mm,
I was doing it at first, and then I was like, well, I'm not really that good at this, so I'm gonna, get a professional graphic designer to do my cover. So the cover, Are You Still in Love with Who,
oh,
Wet
wow.
Dreams, and The Diminishing of Slime are custom made covers.
Oh,
So
wow.
you can pick around and do it yourself, and you got to go to get some training in graphic design so that I can make my own covers. So that's something I want to do. And I'm also a big I like to cook, so I want to go to culinary art school too. I want to be
Mm,
an event planner because for a while when I was in Mississippi, I taught music, and when I was in Baton Rouge, I taught music, and I did programs every year, 6 or 7 for different holidays, and we had different themes and different decorations, different different poetry, and a lot of that poetry that I used came from some of my books that I
mm.
wrote about education. So
Wow.
I just like to do a lot of stuff. I'm just a nerd, I guess.
That's great. That's fantastic. And I'm kind of curious if you have any poem you would love to recite. But that will be after in some short while. So, as a published author, what sort of
Okay.
advice do you have for other writers who would love to, publish a book like yours? What would you tell people in this category?
Never give up. Expect the best. Expect the worst and the best. Because I wasn't expecting the worst. I
Mm,
was always expecting the best, and
best.
I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's not my friend anymore because I'm an author. Oh my gosh, I lost this person. Oh my gosh, this person did me so horribly." But when you everybody's not gonna celebrate you,
Mm,
as your gift. Everybody's not gonna celebrate you. I had to learn that the hard way. My family didn't even celebrate my gift. They didn't celebrate me when I became an author. They did not, and they still don't. Because I'm not a millionaire yet, but I guarantee, I bet when I do millionaire, they're gonna want to celebrate me, but gonna be mean. I'm just, some people,
mm,
you just have to, you find out who your friends are when you start using your gifts and talents. When you really, really start using your gifts and talents, you find out who your friends are, and you should never give up and never stop trying to promote your gift or use your gift. Because for a while I didn't write because I was so
scared how those people treated me. I was just never thought treat me that way. It was hard on them. It was just hard. And you just, take expect the good and expect the bad.
Oh, that's
Because
great.
everybody is not gonna celebrate you. Everybody's not gonna be your cheerleader.
Mm, that's great. And that's actually the reality of the human person and what we should expect out of our audience. So I'm curious if you have any poem you love to recite.
Yeah, I know some by heart. I'm thinking about one about education. Um, and I'm also thinking about one with love. And I'm a servant. So whichever one that you want to hear, do you want to hear about education
You
or
could
do you want to hear about love?
you can go ahead and recite like one or two. That'll be fine from either of both poems.
Okay. Okay. This one is from School Days, Holidays, and All Days Alive Between. And I know this one by heart. It's called We're Going to College.
Okay.
We're going to college, not just to sing, dance, and to be in band. We're going to college. We're going to take a stand for higher education. We'll use our gifts in art and music. So, yes, we choose it. We're going to college. We're gaining knowledge. We're learning to read so that we'll read to learn because out there in our global world, there's much prosperity to earn. We'll play our best instrument, our brain, and only entertain education. We'll turn our wheels with our writing implements to promote achievement. So join our band and sing and dance and understand that we're going to college. We're getting prepared because out there in our global world, we have so much to share.
Wow. That's amazing. Do you have another one you love to recite? That's beautiful.
Yes, I'm gonna talk about um this one is called Precious is Your Love.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Heaven must have sent you from above. Precious is your love. Marvis is a genius. Marvin is a genius. Can I get a witness? Your love is more precious than any stone. It's stronger than calcium in bones. Marvin is legendary. Your love is so precious to me, it's scary. It's more lyrical than a verse in any song. It's more powerful than any king on the throne. Precious is your love to me. I want your love to travel like Marvin through my musical history. The preciousness of your love is truly sent from above.
Oh wow. I love the lyrics.
This is from Are You Still in Love with
In
Who?
love with who? I love the lyrics. Yeah, I love the lyrics.
Thank you.
Thanks for reciting it. That's quite nice. And I want to make me to ask you, where can readers get a copy of your book? Should in case viewers would love to get a copy, where can we get a copy?
Books a Million, Barnes and Noble, eBay,
Mm,
8 Books, lots and lots of bookstores all over the world. You can type my name, Nicole S. Brown, in a Google search, and the information will pop up. And Nicole is spelled Nicole, and Brown is just like the color, Brown, and S in the middle. Also, I have my own websites that I have one website that I ship all over the world, and it's on Etsy. It's etsy.com/shop poetry at best. And shop is lowercase, and the P in poetry is capital, and the B in best is also capital. So one particular is the database is called gettextbooks.com. And you can type in my name and all of the books that I've ever written
yeah,
are on there, and they can tell you every bookstore in every country.
that's great. And I've left a link in the description part of this interview for viewers who would love to get a copy directly on Amazon and through the website you've mentioned. So thank you so much, Nicole X. Brown, for accepting the invitation to be featured on English Literature. It's a pleasure having you on the show.
It's a pleasure to be on, and I really thank you so much.
You're welcome.